Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. This episode focuses on titles released between December 31st, 2021 and January 6th, 2022. We've got lots of 5th edition content, some OSR content, and even a Pathfinder title this week. Everything from adventures to optional rules to a class to spells, it's in here. So stay tuned all the way to the end so you don't miss a title. First up, we've got 20 new spells inspired by fairy tales from Nearsighted Games. It's $1.99 for 11 pages. It says add some fairy tale flavor to your campaign with 20 new spells inspired by fairy tales. With these spells, you'll be able to make animals speak with animal speech, change one animal into another with polymorph beast, call upon a fairy friend with summon pixie/sprite, and have something suitable to wear to the ball with conjure outfit, etc. As a bonus, you'll also get 10 fairy tale flavored spells handpicked from other Nearsighted Games publications for a total of 30 spells for $1.99. So let's take a look inside. So you've got your list of spells here. It looks like they have something for every level, which is nice. Quite a few cantrips, which is always helpful. And let's take a look at a few of those cantrips here. So you get to see 2 of the 11 pages. So first is Bramble, a conjuration cantrip. It's for druids, and it says you cause a small thorn bush to burst from the ground at a point you designate within range, which is 30 feet. All creatures within a 5-foot radius must succeed on a dex saving throw or take piercing damage. Once the spell is resolved, the bush immediately fades into ether, leaving no trace behind, and then the damage increases as you level up. Very cool. And then something called Fairy Dust. It's a cantrip for Bard, Warlock, and Wizard. It's got a range of 10 feet. It says you blow a small bit of silver dust at a target within range. Make a ranged spell attack against the target. On a hit, the target has disadvantage on saving throws against being charmed until the end of your next turn. The spell has no effect on a creature who is immune to being charmed. Once a creature has been affected by this spell, that creature cannot be affected by this spell again for 24 hours. So kind of very thematic, goes along with the theme of fairy tales and trying to charm somebody. You've got this dust in your hand, and then the material component is a pinch of silver dust, so it all tracks and works with the theme. So if you're looking for some fairy tale fun, this might be a good option for you. Maybe for the Feywild, or just some kind of fairy tale themed adventure, something inspired by Grimm's fairy tales or something. This could work. And even beyond that, I mean, these spells don't have to be tied to a setting. So check it out under 20 new spells in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got the Baatezu in the details. Make believable dungeons. And it's by Gabor Kozper. It's $7.95 for 67 pages. It says you come up with an adventure or a dungeon, then you populate it with monsters. This guide will tell you what details to add to your dungeon, to the surroundings of your adventure, to make the appearance of the monsters believable, organic, and logical. Every monster will feel like it is organic and emergent, no matter how arbitrary you choose them. Every environment will be detailed, diverse, and interesting. And then it's got 3 main chapters. Meta consequences: find what other monsters would accompany the one you chose. Physical consequences: place the physical clues in the surroundings connected to the monsters you choose. And then consequences: add details to the behavior of NPCs and other monsters. And it says includes every monster, miscellaneous creature, and non-player character of the monster manual. So sounds like a good premise. I mean, not everybody is really skilled at stocking dungeons. So let's take a look inside. You get to see 8 of those 67 pages. So it says there's a section on how to use it, the meta consequences, nexuses, and then some more tables, and then goes into physical and then news. So we'll look through here. So it says, what is a dungeon, how to use this, all the steps. So it says use the list in Appendix B of the Dungeon Master's Guide to choose monsters, or you can use your own preferred method and place the chosen monsters in your dungeon. Then look up your chosen monsters and the meta consequences. That chapter will suggest other monsters you might want to add. So I would suggest starting with just one monster, place it, then look it up, because once you're looking at those meta consequences and picking the related monsters, you might not need to place any more on your own, or you might want to kind of go back and forth between those steps. And then it says look up your chosen monsters in the table of physical consequences to learn what details you add to your dungeon. And then you look up your chosen monster again in the news of the monsters to learn what effects the news of the chosen monsters can have on the other monsters in the dungeon. So talks about how did the monsters get there, and then here's the meta consequences section. There's Nexus is a layer which is used by many different kinds of monsters. There's a commander option where a monster maybe commands other ones, and it talks about the different relationships here, teammates, minions, and then the Nexus, like a bullywug kingdom. So then creatures would be bullywug, frog, toad, giant frog. And then you have a Dracolich lair with a Dracolich servants such as Archmage, Mage, Cultist, Cult Fanatic, etc. And then down here you go by monster with the Nexus, Commander, Minions, etc. So I can see what they're doing there. They're really organizing things for you, helping you, especially if you're new. This is going to be really helpful because maybe you don't understand that a lot of times liches will have, a cultist nearby. Some of these things that are kind of understood by veteran players or that they know are kind of common things. But I'm sure there's some things in here even veteran players can discover because we tend to forget stuff, and it looks like a lot of thought went into this, and they're covering everything in the monster manual, and maybe they'll do future versions that cover the other books. So I think it looks exciting. So look for it in the video description links under the Baatezu in the details and give it a click. Next, we've got Charm and Chance's Jolly Jaunt through the Domains of Delight. So Wild Beyond the Witchlight came out and it introduced this concept that's very similar to Ravenloft, which is instead of Domains of Dread like Ravenloft has, it has Domains of Delight. And Domains of Delight are formed around an Archfey, and they're basically parts of the Feywild that just really cluster around that Archfey and are controlled by that Archfey. And so that concept allows for all these little domains to be placed either strung together so you can have characters move from one to the other, or they can go to just one, whatever you want to do. So you've got Wild Beyond the Witchlight has a domain, and our book Feywild Companion has a domain in it. And now here's a book that has a ton of more domains for you. So if you're liking this concept of Domains of Delight and you want more of them, then here you go. You have a lot of options. You might even have a campaign that just is completely in the Feywild and never leaves the Feywild, just goes from domain to domain to domain, right? With this many options, you've got the 2 that I mentioned plus all of these. That's a lot. So the authors on this include a lot of people. I'm not going to read all of them, but you've got Lucas Anderson, Joanna Delane, Nick Dodato, Sticky Hunter, Christy Kidd, T.M. Van Dalen, and more. And it's 104 pages. And it says the 10 domains of delight in this book are everything you want from a jaunt through the Feywild, quirky, delightful, alien, dangerous, grandiose, charming, and so much more, and always fun to explore. Each domain comes with all the elements you need to bring it to life in your stories. You've got a domain profile box for a quick overview of the Archfey, the domain hallmarks, and a Fey crossing. Then you've got an info box on domain denizens, on their hopes, dreams, and faction allegiances. A box on the domain crossing telling you how to introduce your players to this magical place. A domain tour through all of the most significant locations and events. And then a chapter on the Archfey, including their signature magic. And then you've got obsessions and role-playing advice of the Archfey as well. And then domain drama adventure seeks to throw your party into the fun. So here you've got some examples of some of the domains. So there's one called Kaleidoscopic Fete. It's a domain of endless merriment. And then there's one called the Broken Threshold, domain of abandonment, and domain of forgotten places. So tons of them here. You can see how fun they're going to be. And let's take a look inside. So you've got all the information here on who's involved and how it's laid out. So these are all the different domains, everything from Luminous and Gormisha to Sodden Heath. So lots of different options. And here, you can see the little domain profile box where it gives you the name of the Archfey, the hallmarks, and then the Fey crossing. So, for example, the hallmarks are Sinister Joy, a Fete worse than death, a regular similarity, etc. And then the Fey crossing, it says fractal glass lines a carnival entryway. What's beyond is obscured by sparkling fog. And then it talks about the denizens of the kaleidoscopic fete. So it says a mix of different people occupy this domain as guests. However, those who run the stands and concessions tend to be bullywugs and living dolls. So that's cool. They got a cool picture there of a living doll. And then down here they have things like the Harlequin's magical gifts. And then it looks like a stat block here for the prismatic Harlequin. And then a table of drama that can happen and games. So you could even take some of these games into other situations. They've got a whole section on a floating ladder and apple bobbing. So you could use those even outside of this book, which is helpful. And then down here you've got even more games. So yeah, you're getting to see 41 pages of the 104. So you can read through quite a few of these domains, get a feel for them. See if any of them will work for you. I can't imagine in 104 pages that you're not going to find something useful. I mean, there's all these drama sections, like here, looking at this one, it's for a domain called Golden Rune. It says, Demon Lord has seeded the domain with pockets of disharmony that manifest as caves or crevasses, jagged wounds in the land that appear abruptly and would be easy to step or fall into, populated by horrors. Use any creature or group of creatures with the demon type that is appropriate to the party's level. So that's a fun little seed of an adventure that could happen, and a mystery that could be uncovered. The history of this domain and why is there so much disharmony here? What's going on? And you could discover that, right? And that's just one. They have a ton of those and all kinds of gifts in here, profiles, stat blocks, just tons of stuff on offer. And it's timely, the Wild Beyond the Witchlight is out. People are still playing that. All kinds of Feywild stuff's going on. And the Feywild, I don't think is going to go anywhere, right? So, even if you don't get to the Feywild for a little bit, you've got this here as a resource to supplement, some of these other books that are out there and help you have just a Feywild fun time. So check it out under Charm and Chance's Jolly Jaunt in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Collective Encounters, Volume 3. It's a collection of one-page encounters created during the Fall 2021 Write Your First Encounter workshop. And it's $13.99, and it's got a bunch of people involved. So, they have these workshops where people are learning how to write different things. And so you've got all kinds of writers entering this space, the DriveThruRPG space, that are wanting to be part of it and hone their skills and sharpen their skills. So when you invest in books like this, not only are you getting some fresh ideas from people because it's their first time, and so they're probably unleashing some of their best work in terms of ideas because it's the first time they've had an opportunity to put something out there, but you're also encouraging them to keep writing and making fun stuff for us to consume. So I definitely think it's always worthwhile to support these books. So you get to see 6 of the 47 pages, and then it goes into the people who were involved here, and then you've got the first encounter. So you're getting to see quite a bit of stuff here because you've got different encounters, and each one has its own little layout and maps and artwork and stuff. So that's pretty cool. So let's take a look at this one, Ashes of the Past. It says, Eldath, goddess of peace, has many followers and temples across the lands. Her gentle hand is beloved by many, but sometimes the god's mercy can turn to wrath. This encounter is designed for a level 1 group. And it says, in the ruins of the Temple of Eldath, the party has been tasked with cleansing the land. In their investigation, the players find that it was the goddess herself who destroyed the temple. So that's an interesting angle. Not normally, goddesses want their temples to remain intact. So interesting mystery already. So as the players have been quested with cleansing the area, they have no prior knowledge. Read out loud. Your senses are filled with the smoke of fires long extinguished. Light shines through the missing roof, illuminating the dark and somber night, or the dark and somber sight of the ruined temple. You hear dead silence as the ash begins to dry your throat, and a dark aura fills your heart. So what's going to be happening in this temple? And you've got a little map to kind of guide you what's the space looks like, and these are just quick little one-shots, getting these people used to the structure of writing encounters. And look at how many. I mean, there's a bunch of people in here that are just getting their first taste of this. So it's exciting. One of these could write your favorite next book, right? So I think it's worth checking them out early on, seeing some of their early work. And that little temple one we read, right? You could just plop that in anywhere that you have a level 1 group, just little side quests, little something to do. You can have one of your NPCs task them, oh, we have this temple, there's a mess, we need you to go cleanse it, and then off they go, right? So lots to see, lots to do in 47 pages of encounters with lots of brand new talent. So check it out under Collective Encounters 3 in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Davybar's Plunder, a swashbuckling one-shot pirate adventure for level 5 players. And it's got a pay what you want, suggest a price of $1.99 for the 8-page title. It's by Robert Dixon, and it's got some fun artwork. It says this adventure begins at a rough, rundown tavern in the city-state of Baldur's Gate. Players get themselves into a tavern brawl, and their fighting skills catch the eye of Captain Davybar, an old seafaring halfling who laments the loss of his treasure map. He recruits the heroes to sail across the Sea of Swords in pursuit of his old crew of pirates who mutinied and stole his map. The heroes will chase them across the Moonshae Isles, uncover a mysterious pirate curse, and find the buried treasure. So, sounds like a fun time. If you're looking for something Forgotten Realms or nautical, I'm guessing you could set this elsewhere as well. So you've got your overview, part 1. You get to see 3 of these 8 pages. And here's Captain Davybar's stat block, so that's cool, helpful. You could use him in other things, not just this adventure. So it says the adventure begins in Baldur's Gate with the heroes enjoying a drink and exchanging stories at the Blushing Mermaid Tavern, a renowned meeting spot for smugglers and pirates. And then here's the read-aloud text. As dusk falls, the dingy rooms of the tavern start to fill up with merchants, shipyard workers, and all manner of folks. It's not the most welcoming of environments. You notice shards of broken glass in the corners of the room, and a great many stab marks in the wooden mantle above the hearth. And then it says allow some time for the freestyle role-playing, and when you're ready to move things along, interrupt the players with a tavern brawl. It starts to become more difficult to hear each other over the sound of an increasingly heated disagreement at a neighboring table. A burly man with a hook at the end of his arm, where his hand should be, pipes up. I can see that it's a flush, but that's only because there seem to be 2 aces of clubs in your hand. Aye, well, if you're not careful, I'll give you another club. You see his opponent detaching his wooden leg and beating the hooked man so hard he flies onto your table, smashing all your drinks. Well, goodness, this is truly a brawl, right? And you've got a thug stat block, people taking off their peg legs and wooden legs or whatever they're called, and their hooked hands and attacking each other with it. So you got all kinds of pirate stuff happening. I've never seen that. You hear about the peg legs or the wooden legs or the hooked hands and things like that with pirates, and some of the kind of well-known tropes of pirates, but not necessarily a beating with that. So that's interesting and funny. So yeah, I think this could be, a pirate good time if you're looking for something like that, or you want to start some nautical adventures. And it is in the links below in the video description under Davybar's Plunder. So give it a click and check it out. Next we have The Floating Isles by Daniel Kahn. It's an adventure supplement for Chapter 3 of The Wild Beyond the Witchlight called Thither. And Daniel's been releasing a series of these. We've covered a number of them on this series. And it basically is other things that you can do while you are doing your Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So if you want to add an additional little encounter, additional little thing, you can plug in this series from Daniel and just kind of expand it out. Maybe you're playing Wild Beyond the Witchlight for the third time and you kind of want to mix it up as a DM. You don't want it to be the same thing again. Maybe you've already run it and your players want to run through it again, and so you want it to be a little different, or maybe they've read the book when they shouldn't, and so you can mix it up by adding something like this. So it's $1.99 for 11 pages. And it says, this mini adventure aims to add 2 new locations, a goblin village called Terrace Town and the Floating Isles. Both locations have opportunities for combat, but combat is not required. It says the map of Thither in Chapter 3 of The Wild Beyond the Witchlight depicts a few floating islands northeast of Wayward Pool. While there is no mention of this area in The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, this adventure creates a whimsical location and story so that characters may engage more deeply with Thither. As always, it is up to you how much of the content you want to use. So it says it assumes a party of 4 to 6 characters at 4th level with scaling options. So you get the 2 new locations, VTT ready maps, and story connection hooks. And it says the party heads to the Floating Isles to collect Jabberwock dung to help grow a magical mushroom called the Twilight Reverie. On their way, they run into a troubled goblin village called Terrace Town. Goblins explain how Thither has changed for the worse since the arrival of Skabatha Nightshade, and the forest is now unsafe for the creatures that live there. After helping the villagers deal with some tin soldiers, they can continue on their way. Once they arrive at the Floating Isles, they must navigate across the treacherous landscape, dodging through a conflict between a group of pixies and sprites. Once the party collects enough dung, they can head back to their patron for the reward. So, yeah, and you've got your little map of the Floating Isles here. So that's fun. Yeah, looks like there's fun art as usual, including the cover. And it's nice to have these locations. Maybe you don't even want to play Prismeer or Wild Beyond the Witchlight exactly the way it's written. Maybe you just want to go to that location and just kind of cruise around with your characters, let things happen. And so if you have these books with more information on these secondary places, then that's more places they can just wander and experience. But what I've also said about these past books is there's nothing stopping you from taking these floating isles and placing them in other domains. It doesn't have to be Prismeer. We have in Feywild Companion, we have Dualis. It already has a floating island with the Archface home on it, but there could be other floating islands there, so you could plop these locations. Even the Goblin Village could be, Terrace Town could be placed in Dualis. And then we looked at that book earlier in this episode that has all those domains, so you could place this stuff there, and it's only $1.99. So I think it's a good deal, and I think you should look for it under Floating Isles in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Hektula's Khyber Codex, A Guide to the World Below. And it's by Jamie Bernstein, and it's $14.95 for 151 pages, so quite a large book. It says explore the demiplanar depths of the world of Khyber, and that's Eberron. It says the Khyber Codex contains over 38 demiplanes of all shapes and sizes with which to populate the world below, each an unreal realm of wonder and danger in equal measure. Delve into the aberrant prisons of the Lord of Madness, heist ancient weapons from the hearts of the overlords, and explore the shadows of alternate realities for unique adventures in Eberron's darkest depths. So each demiplane features detailed notes, ambiance, monsters, environmental effects, templates, and shiny loot to ensure a fun experience. So that's great. And it says if you're a fan of interplanar or underdark adventures, dastardly villains, and dire straits, the Khyber Codex awaits you. So looking inside, you got the world below, then the prison of the ancients, and all kinds of stuff going on. And it looks like it's all hyperlinked, which is really nice once you're working with the book. And then here's a foreword, very cool looking foreword with some artwork. And then it goes into the world below. You get the realm of Khyber, and then how to use the codex. So yeah, you're getting to see the whole book in this preview, which is really kind to give you that opportunity to look at everything. You've got the faction and plot hooks. Yeah, this is a lot of stuff for you in one book. So we'll pick something to read here in just a minute, but I want to scroll through so you can just get an idea of kind of the layout and some of the things going on. So let's zoom in here and read about this. So we've got 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬, the All-Seer, the Citadel of Lidless Eyes. It says the Grand Observatory of 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬, known as the Citadel of Lidless Eyes, is the capital of Eberron's Beholderkin and an organic nightmare of molten flesh. Infinite eyes of all shapes and sizes stud the landscape of liquid rock and chitin, flowing like waves toward the grand, sinuous fortress from which the All-Seer witnesses the expanse of reality, space, and time. Hundreds of Beholderkin hover through the space, pursuing ordered roles and duties in the name of research and the will of their creator. Within the horrific citadel, vast cadres of beholders dream, observe, and debate on the path of history and the underpinnings of the world, all in the name of gaining enough insight to see through reality itself. From its fleshy throne at the center of the citadel, 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 gazes through 100,000 eyes at all of existence and beyond, seeing so far that it gazes upon the realm of the progenitors themselves in the form of the draconic prophecy. It is in this realm beyond realms that the 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 plucks, cuts, and warps the strings of fate, each twist pulling it ever closer in its alien mind to a new form of ascension. 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 truly sees not just through the eyes of the mortals across the world, not just into other planes, but beyond the limits of time itself. So very flavorful writing here. I like this concept of this beholder that can see through any eyes anywhere almost, and the power of that knowledge that is in their hands, and just this notion that they're trying to shape reality and change things. And that's just one of the many things that you're going to encounter in this book, because it just goes on and on. There's so much, and 151 pages of stuff to read and do. I'm sure this took a long time to put together, and it's always great to support authors that put so much time and energy into these books, because most of the people working on this is not their full-time job, right? So you want to encourage them and reward them for spending so much time preparing this for you. We don't have wizards funds to make these books, or time, right? Or a staff to do all these things. So it's always great to support creators like this that they're putting their blood, sweat, and tears out there into 151-page books for you, and giving you so much material that you can just the depth of that material. You could have so many adventures and campaigns just on that one thing that we read. That could be a running thing, dealing with 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 and all those eyes looking at everything and feeling watched and all of that good stuff, right? So I think you should look for it in the video description links under Hektula's Khyber Codex and give it a click. Next, we have Hexblades and Other Armaments of Power by Pedro Filippo. And it's $4.95 for 15 pages. It says a good warrior with a rusty blade can survive, but with a good one, they can put their name in history. Before you part on an adventure, take a look at these 51 new magical weapons, from uncommon all the way up to artifacts. Many amazing options for those looking for inspiration to become a Hexblade warlock or a fighter searching for the perfect blade to protect their friends. There are even some that might interest their wizard friends. It says, find lore for some of the powerful magical weapons you might find on your adventure, giving life into them. And all the cool spellcasters now can find some enchanted weapons as well that they can use as spellcasting focus. and incredible features in each weapon to keep your party safe and hitting harder. So, and this is part of a bundle, so just keep that in mind. You might want to come down here and look and see if you want all of this stuff. Pedro has released some other Warlock fun things, including Packs and Powers series, which there's 3 parts of that. So if you're a big Warlock fan, and we've talked about the Packs and Powers series in this video series previously, and they're quite fun. So if you're a big Warlock fan and you want to get all the Warlock stuff that Pedro's done, this bundle seems to have all of that, so consider that. But if you're just looking for some Hexblades, or maybe you have some of the other titles already, then yeah, $4.95 for this. And let's take a look inside. So you get to see 4 of those 15 pages, and so we'll see some of these items here, and yeah, some nice artwork throughout. So what one do we want to look at here? Let's look at the Flame Feather Spear. So it's an artifact, requires attunement. It's a simple melee weapon, light throw range of 20-80. And it says, in the core of the spear lies a feather of a phoenix. Its power still emanates, giving magical properties to this weapon and a warm feeling to those that touch it. This blade damage is considered magical, ignoring resistance or immunity to non-magical piercing damage. While attuned to it, a creature gains the following benefits: protection of fire, immunity to fire damage, reborn by flames. If you were to fall to 0 HP or die from any damage or spell, you instead come back to being alive and conscious with 20 HP. And after using it, you cannot use it again until a week has passed. Flames of Regeneration. As an action, you can cover yourself or an ally in regenerative flames. They deal 1d4 hit points per turn. They stay for 1 minute or until you dismiss it or lose concentration on them. So very cool. Fun little thematic item. And there's even a cooking set in here with a fake cooking spoon. And so let's look at the Club of Memory. An attuned creature attuned to this weapon, as it hits a melee attack against a creature, can choose to cast Modify Memory on a targeted creature. The spell DC for the effect is 15 and cannot be cast using higher spell slot. Fun. So lots of flavorful little items. Seem to work well with Warlocks or others. And that's only $4.95. So check it out under Hexblades in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the High Magic Sourcebook with this really fun cover. I enjoy looking at this. I think it's some really cool art. And it says Gordon McAlpin is the author, $9.95 for 58 pages. And it also lists Gordon as the artist, so good job on that art. And it says the book introduces all new mechanics for high magic, epic spells, circle magic, and spell singing to make the magic system for 5th edition more chaotic and powerful than ever before. Marshal unimaginable energy with cooperative spellcasting and feed an empire or erase your enemies from existence. New subclasses and a slew of new spells, magic items, downtime activities, and creatures support the high magic mechanics, making it a living, breathing part of the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. This book also offers guidelines for adapting these rules to Eberron, Strixhaven, and other D&D worlds. It says all new rules for high magic, epic spells, circle magic, spell singing, 2 new subclasses, new downtime activities, new feats, spells, magic items, and more. Very cool. And you can see it's got that nice artwork all the way throughout. So let's look inside. And as the description said, you get to see the entire book in the preview, which I think is really kind. And so we're going to look through it here, but you've got a brief history of high magic, then wielding high magic, everything that involves, and then source books and spellcraft, and then high magic player options, including those subclasses we talked about and the feats. And then more stuff like magic items and spells, creatures and NPCs. And so, I was scrolling through this earlier, and they even have, higher spells higher than level 9 in here. So if you've always wanted spells that go beyond that, then that's cool. So you've got meta magic stuff, you've got high magic failure, and the effects of that. Extend. So this section is, let's see, what is this? Oh, this is the incantations that you can get. Okay. And then you've got high magic intonations. Yeah, so all kinds of stuff. Really, really detailed. Sourcebook and Spellcraft. Let's start to zoom in here so we can start reading some of this. It says the following downtime activities are intended for characters interested in unlocking powerful spells through high magic and epic spells. So you've got high magic sourcebook activities. You can create a high magic sourcebook for adding new meta magic incantations to an existing sourcebook. Due to the complexity of the inductions and the number of intonations involved, the high magic induction spell is vastly more difficult than a standard third level spell. These instructions can be scribed into any blank book or other information storage device capable of storing 100 standard magic spells. The process of scribing the high magic induction spell and 10 intonations into such a volume creates a high magic sourcebook. So they're saying, 100 regular spells equals 1 high magic spell. So, even your spell book storage is different with these more complicated, powerful spells. So, in older editions of Dungeons and Dragons, they did have some really epic spells that were, nation leveling spells, right? So it's cool to see that you can have these spells now. I mean, even 13th level spells, so, all kinds of stuff going on. And then here's the epic spell descriptions, precision targeting, high magic player options. So here's your arcane tradition with the high magic specialist. So yeah, let's scroll back up and read. Actually, let's go down and read some of the spells. I think that would be fun. So yeah, so much stuff. Look at all these stat blocks at the end here. I want to find one. So this is a 15th level spell. So let's read that. Song of Battle. It's range of 30 feet, duration 1 minute for Bard, Paladin, Warlock, and Wizard. It says you imbue your allies with bravery. Up to 10 creatures of your choice within 30 feet of you are immune to being frightened for the duration and gain temporary hit points equal to your spellcasting ability modifier at the start of each of their turns. When the spell ends, each target loses any remaining temporary hit points from this spell. So, given a lot of creatures some temporary hit points with that high level spell. And here's another 10th level one. Let's read that. Memento Mori. It's 60 feet for Warlock and Wizard. With just a thought, you can compel one creature you can see within range to die instantly. If the creature you choose has 100 hit points or fewer, it dies. Otherwise, the spell has no effect. So, instant death. And then Epic Counterspell, 10th level Abjuration, and it's 60 feet. You attempt to interrupt a creature in the process of casting a spell. If the creature is casting a spell of 9th level or lower, its spell fails and has no effect. If it's casting a spell of 10th level or higher, make an ability check using your spellcasting ability. The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. On a success, the creature's spell fails and has no effect. On a failure, you must make a high magic failure roll. So cool that they're tying in that high magic stuff here. And I like that this is like a counter spell that is acknowledging, okay, now the spells go way up, higher levels. So we need something that can basically counter anything 9th level and below. So that's nice. And it looks like they've got Epic Dispel Magic as well. So you're getting some upgrades as well to some of these classic spells. And you can literally come through here and read all of this good stuff, read the magic items. There's all these lore gems in here, and really just see if you're willing to expand and try some of this stuff in your campaign. I think it's exciting. I always loved anything epic. Every time we have something epic on the channel, I'm excited because I just think it's fun that people are taking 5th edition beyond the limits and exploring those options, and it's so cool that we have the opportunity to do that. So I think you should support it by looking for High Magic Sourcebook in the links below and giving it a click. Next we have Hunters of the Mists, new orders for the Blood Hunter class, and it's by Travis Legge. It's $1.95 for 10 pages. It says the orders presented in Hunters of the Mist offer new and exciting options for your Blood Hunter to choose from. These options have been optimized to function with the Blood Hunter class, which is free. You can get it here on the DM's Guild, and there is a link, I believe, right here that you can click. And it's by Matt Mercer from Critical Role. He created that. And then you've got Hunters of the Mist. So these are the three different subclasses. So you've got Order of the Alienist, Order of the Inked, and Order of the Mindflame. And then it says it's a growing document throughout the coming months. The author's going to add additional orders until each domain of the Ravenloft's Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft has at least one order. So, and then the price is going to go up each time. So the suggestion is buy it now at $1.95, get these 3 orders, and then as it gets updated with orders for each of the domains, you get those when they come out, and you don't have to pay more, right? If you wait, then you're going to have to pay more because each time they're going to add more stuff, for the other domains. That price is going to go up on you. So, and then of course you can see some of the other books. Travis has done a lot of great books out there. So I should check those things out as well. But looking inside, you get to see 5 pages of the 10. And so you've got the Order of the Alienist here. And then, down here you've got Order of the Mindflame. So let's read a little bit about the Order of the Alienist. Spawned from the study of mind flayers from the domain of 𝙁𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬 and the damage they inflict, this order harnesses the power of psionics and the science of psychology. Though true understanding of the inscrutable denizens of the domain of alien memories eludes the order, their research has led to remarkable insight and incredible power. By combining techniques drawn from science, alchemy, and dark magic, they are able to resist mental influence, treat trauma, and even plumb the minds of others for secrets. Sounds like a very thematic class. So at 3rd level, your training of science of psychology grants you additional skills. You gain proficiency in insight and medicine. If you're already proficient in either of these skills, when you gain this feature, you may double your proficiency bonus when making checks with that skill. And then you learn to steel yourself against mental influence while your Crimson Rite is active in your mind. It's bolstered against psychic intrusion. You have advantage on all saving throws to resist attempts to alter your memory or to read or control your mind. So makes sense. I mean, your character has studied psychological stuff, so perfect. Upon reaching 7th level, you gain the ability to shake others free from malignant mental influences. As a bonus action, you may choose any creature within 60 feet of you who can hear you, can understand a language you speak, and who is suffering from the charmed or frightened condition. You offer a calming mantra of encouragement, ending those conditions on the target. So, and then there's more to it. As you get to 15th level, you can use it twice as opposed to just once. So very flavorful. Looks like it would be cool to be able to free people from conditions as part of your powers. And then there's all sorts of other stuff in here, and this artwork is really, really nice as well. So I think you should check it out and get in on that low price of $1.95 before it goes up as new things come out. And Travis has always got great writing. So check it out under Hunters of the Mists in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Jawsmangandr. Don't go in the water without a magic hammer, it says. It's by Phineas T. Zero. It's $2.95 for 28 pages. It says shipboard tale for a group of 4 adventurers, 2nd to 3rd level, playable in a single evening or over 2 if the winds are against you. It says adventurers wanted to sail into the farthest seas in search of the dreaded Jawsmangandr's serpent, a green-frilled sea serpent plaguing the shipping lanes. Ignore any tales of Maw Deep and the Wee Sea Freemen, the so-called serpent riders who are directing the serpent. They are merely folk tales. And it says it can work in Sword Coast or near Waterdeep if you want. So let's take a look inside. You get to see 3 of those 28 pages. So it's going into the Pequadrafinia, square-rigged sailing vessel with a single mast carried on a horizontal spar perpendicular to the keel of the vessel. The ship is a clinker built, meaning the planks of the hull are laid so that the bottom edge of each plank overlaps the top edge of the plank below it. So this author really knows nautical stuff, so that's encouraging. They know all those terms. So yeah, it's going into all these details. It's got the upper deck of the forecastle. Within the forecastle, yeah, they're basically just going through all the parts of this vessel. That's pretty cool. So let's read a little bit more. It says, narrow stairs to either side of the door into the forecastle lead to the upper deck of the bow of the ship. Extending from the bow is a heavy spar of wood, as thick as a mast. The bowsprit extends from the forecastle for approximately 10 feet. The pulpit, extending approximately 6 feet onto the bowsprit, is a narrow platform with a simple metal rail known as the pulpit. From the pulpit, a harpooner has access to the sea directly below and to either side of the ship along the bow. Very cool. So getting to find all this intimate details of these parts of the ship, which you could reuse, I'm sure, after this adventure. Yeah, I mean, if this much has gone into just laying out the locations before you even get into the adventure, imagine what's awaits you with the adventure. So, but I like this. I like that there's a lot of nautical detail here. People love that. Immerses you in the setting and makes you feel like you're a part of it. So I think if you're looking for something nautical, or you want to have a ship that's super detailed and an adventure to go with it, I like this notion of, ignore we see Freeman and the Maw Deep and all that. Focus on, going after this Jawsmangandr. So I'm intrigued by this, and I think you should give it a chance. It's under Jawsmangandr in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Necromancer Class, and it's by Dustin Harriman, $7.99 for 23 pages. I love the cover. It says, it brings to life the fantasy of playing a necromancer, complete with the abilities to cast spells, sling curses, raise the dead to serve you, and sap the life from your enemies. Complete with the optional play rules and 5 fully fleshed out subclasses, including Caretaker, Reaper, Hexmaster, Exorcist, and Golem Lord. So yeah, you can go deep into the Necromancer class and really, have a whole new class that's focused on necromancy, because we do have, the School of Necromancy as far as magic goes. So you get to see 5 of those 23 pages, which looks like it's going to give you mostly the class itself. So it goes into the intro here and a quick build, and then you've got your features of the class. And then starting at first level, your Necromancer gains a number of essence points equal to their Necromancer level that they can spend in a variety of ways. Essence points fuel the class and are restored at the end of a long rest. Additionally, half of your maximum number of essence points rounded down are restored at the end of a short rest. You cannot have more essence points than your Necromancer level at any one time. If your Necromancer so chooses, as a bonus action, they may sacrifice a spell slot to gain twice the number of essence points. So a second level spell slot grants 4 essence points. A third level spell slot grants 6, etc. However, your Necromancer may not exchange essence points for spell slots. So it doesn't go the other direction. And of course, you can't go higher than your Necromancer level with your essence points. And it says, starting at first level, your touch can siphon the life force of others to bolster your own. It's an action. You can make a melee spell attack against a living creature, dealing necrotic damage equal to your intelligence modifier on a hit. You gain temporary hit points equal to the amount of necrotic damage dealt. If this feature kills the creature, you instead gain whatever health the creature had left, doubled as temporary hit points. Very cool. So you've got Rebuke Undead, Occult, Malevolent Essence, all sorts of fun stuff. So it says, starting at third level, your Necromancer's understanding of life essence allows them to repurpose their own for dark magic. Your Necromancer may now elect to take 1d6 health damage when casting a curse. This health damage becomes psychic damage inflicted on the enemy when a curse lands successfully. So playing with this kind of dark stuff that the Necromancer would do to the enemies. And it's very thematic. I mean, a lot of these abilities that are described here are things that necromantic spells do. So it seems very thematic with some beautiful artwork. So check it out under Necromancer Class in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Oops, All Clerics, Crossroads Cleric Camps. It's a short adventure module, and it's by Madeline Frank, $4.99 for 24 pages. It says it's a short, silly adventure about a bunch of teenage clerics going to church camp. The minimal amount of DM prep required makes it a perfect one-shot for a quick break from your regular campaign. Features 10 unique magic items, 2 maps, and character art for major NPCs. And there's going to be more more oops titles. So this is oops all clerics. There could be oops all something else in the future, another class maybe. So let's look inside. You get to see 6 of the 24 pages. So the adventure is broken into 3 parts. You've got NPCs and magic items and some maps. And there's an introduction, and then this is all about the cleric camp, and then the daily schedule. And then here's the adventure. So we'll read a little bit of the flavor text. It says, welcome to Crossroads Cleric Camp, a place for young clerics to learn and grow in their devotion away from the contaminating influences of the world. Here at CRCC, our mission is to train up a generation to boldly serve the gods. Our campers are equipped with the tools they need to remain faithful servants and build friendships that last a lifetime. Activities include horseback riding, canoeing, tools to convert the lost, hiking, religious studies, crafts, and so much more. Come spend your summer with us. So, and it seems like there could be some cult things going on. And the guy that introduces himself at the beginning. He says, hi, I'm John. I'm so glad you decided to spend the week with us. Hey, listen, I just wanted to tell you something that's been laid on my heart. There's a reason you're here this week. You have a very special purpose, and I couldn't be happier that you're here. So he's a special flower. Yeah, it does sound very cult-like, so it'd be interesting to see what happens when these campers get in there and go through this whole adventure and unravel the mystery. But yeah, it sounds like a fun little series, playful, humorous, not too serious, and I like the dialogue. So check it out under Oops All Clerics in the links below. Next we have Scale the Spire, a Tier 2 one-shot adventure, and it's by the Quick Fix Club. It's got a suggested price of 0, but you can pay something on the pay what you want system here. 45 pages. This is a modular one-shot adventure that contains the story for a single adventure, additional rules to create a modular rogue-like dungeon crawl experience, 18 random events for traversing a magical dungeon, builds for 21 new monsters and fights, builds and ideas for 18 new boss battles, loot tables for 36 new potions, and easily adjustable length and difficulty to increase the replay value for this ever-shifting dungeon. It says one of the realm's most mysterious places is Mito Valley, colloquially called the Graveyard of Towers. Its steep cliffs and riverbeds are filled with tall, ruined buildings of mysterious make and purpose. All of them are filled with crumbling stairs leading to high drops, suggesting they were never used as parts of houses. Scholars took decades to conclude that apart from the towers, no artifacts, burial mounds, or traces of any civilization could be found within the valley. Only a single piece of oral history survives about the Mito. It states that the valley is the home to the Spire, an invisible tower stretching into the heavens. Anyone reaching its zenith is granted the power to make their will manifest in the world. However, failed ascenders are doomed to wander through the spire for all eternity. Sounds like a fun kind of setup. Yeah, you could go lots of places with that. You could even have the party kind of stuck there. And it says, in this 6 to 12-hour adventure, a party of 4th to 5th level characters find themselves in the base of the spire. All of them have sacrificed much to get there. All of them know that they have to sacrifice more to go on. It says to be slain and cursed, such is the potential fate of anybody foolish enough to scale the spire. So, and then if you get to the top, I mean, basically you get like a wish spell, which is pretty cool. So let's look inside. You can see 10 of these 45 pages, and then it talks about 3 curses, and then how to run it, the overall structure, dealing with bound players. Bound players get the chance to assist their companions through spiritual intervention using the following abilities. So, and there's vengeful spirits, vows, and then there's the base, just a lot of stuff. Various encounters going on. So it says, before starting this adventure, each player is presented a choice of 4 vows, a promise to the spire, which grants them a benefit in exchange for a specific cost. There are minor vows, small promises with small rewards, such as receiving +7 maximum HP in exchange to starting the adventure damaged. And then there's major vows, like getting to choose one of 3 magical weapons at the beginning of the adventure in exchange for giving up all of their equipment. At the start of the game, the players must choose a single vow out of 4. There's 2 minor and 2 major. There are 2 vows in total which stand in opposition to the curse of change. Any player picking those automatically turns into a vengeful spirit upon death. Since the players cannot disclose the content of their vows to their companions, the GM should discuss the selection process in secret and individually with each player. So I like this. A lot of little interesting tweaks. When you start a campaign or an adventure, sometimes you have special rules or things that are going on that aren't part of other campaigns or other games that you play with the same people. And it's always nice to have some new nuances that you can experience and say, oh, I've never had this choice before. I've never had to pick a vow before we start. What am I going to pick? I think some players really like making choices, right? So it's cool that this adventure is going to give even more than the usual choices that you have for character creation. So I think you should check it out under Scale the Spire in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Spellcasting Focus by Trent Lunsford. It's $3.99 for 24 pages. Spellcasting with Focus grants options and opportunity for casters of all types. This book looks at 20 general forms of foci for all casters and 50 specialty forms for classes and subclasses. What's more, you can match your form up with 100 special functions, combining form with function and taking bonuses to spell attack and save DCs into account. This book provides details of rarity and flexibility to allow you to enhance casters in balanced and exciting ways. Whether you are a DM looking for a character rewards or a player searching for the perfect spellcasting aid for your character, the book has you covered. So let's look inside. So you get to see 4 of those 24 pages. You got the forms, the class forms, the functions, and the class functions. And then it goes into this a little bit more about spellcasters and foci, and then existing caster foci, and then new foci, and then new forms, etc. So let's zoom in here and read about some of the new foci. The manufactured focus has been tailored for consistency. Thus, foci have 2 traits which can be combined in a massive volume of manners and ways, but are still predictable based upon 2 traits. Function determines what the focus does special from other foci. Form determines what the focus is and the utility of the focus. So fundamentals, all foci should have a line that reads, when using a focus, you do not need to supply the material components of the spell unless the material has a gold cost value. And then function, the function trait adds a benefit beyond normal to the focus, allowing the spellcaster to enhance, twist, or even break the rules of normal spellcasting. The function traits are listed below. There are 50 general functions and 5 each of class-related traits. There are even a few subclass-specific traits totaling 100. So basically, you pick and choose different things, put them together, and using the rules that they've laid out here, and then you have a spellcasting focus that's unique. So I like that it's mix and match so that you can have many different combinations. So here's some of the forms categories. So amulet focus can take many jewelry forms as long as the amulet, if prominently displayed, it can take a variety, such as a large circlet upon the head, a winding bracelet with dangling charms, an ornate clasp to hold your cloak, etc. When using an amulet focus, you do not need to hold it in your hand to gain the benefits of the focus. This allows you to keep your hands free. So that's kind of the amulet form of focus. And then they go through a lot of different possible forms. But, here's some of the, it says there are many magic items that can be used as a spell focus. Below is a listing of some of the officially released ones that can be used as a spell focus. So it's just really deep diving into spellcasting focus, and I think that's fun because it hasn't gotten a ton of attention and detail. So we're just getting to read a little bit. There's 24 pages on this, so I'm pretty sure it's going to get into a lot of detail of what the focuses do. What I would recommend, Trent, if you're watching this, is maybe just add to your, you can use images or even do it in text, maybe add one complete example of what a combination would look like. It's this form with this function, and that way, because in the preview we weren't able to see a complete one, although you might have it in your alternate preview. Let's just look. I'm not sure. You can see a little bit more of a list, but yeah, we're not getting to see any of the combination. I want people to be able to see at least one Focus fully, just so that they have that option. And I think they're going to like it because you've clearly put in so much time and detail into what all the different types are. And yeah, I think once you show one or more combinations for people, either in your preview or, like I said, you can do it as images or text in your description. I think a lot more people are going to take a chance on it because it's clear you've really broken it down here. So I like it. So by the time you guys click the link, Trent may have implemented some of that. And even if not, I think at $3.99 you get 24 pages of information on Focus. It's probably going to be some stuff you can use and combine these different things together to create some unique foci in your games. So check it out under Spellcasting Focus in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have the Spellsword Codex by Sean Shannon and Devlin DM and Dana Peavy House, Doug Reichel, Kyle Wagner Toddy, Spencer Hibnick, $9.95 for 17 pages. It says it brings you 50 spells, ranging from cantrips all the way up to 8th level that mix might with magic. These spells are perfect for half-third casters or full casters who like to get up close and personal. Whether you're enchanting your movement, empowering your sword, or disabling your opponent, these melee focus spells fill a void and give some love to arcane tricksters, eldritch knights, paladins, etc. So swapping strike, a cantrip that allows you to switch places with your enemy when you hit them. Pilfer and pitch, grab your opponent's weapon with magical reflexes and throw it back at them. Distant edge, cause your weapon to let out a wave of force in a 30-foot line. Glass bones, cause your opponent to become vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. Scintillating snail shell, wrap your ally in a flail snail shell to protect them. And then here's some examples of layout, which looks nice. And let's look inside. So you've got all the different spells, lots of them in here, all the way up to 8th level with something called Earth Renderer. You get to see 6 of the 17 pages. And some fun cantrips, all kinds of stuff. So we'll just pick something here to read. Let's look at Sacrificial Smite. It's a 1st level necromancy for the paladin. It says you drain your own life force to fuel a devastating blow. The next time you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack during the spell's duration, your weapon drips with phantasmal blood as you strike. You can expend 2 of your hit dice and roll them. When you score a critical hit, you do not need to expend additional hit dice for the additional damage dice. The attack deals necrotic damage equal to the number rolled. Additionally, if the target is a creature, it can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. And then it's got at higher levels upcasting. And let's see what else we got. Let's read one more. So we'll read Falcon's Mark. It's 1st level Artificer Bard Ranger Paladin, 30 feet. Lasts 1 round. You throw your weapon at a foe, allowing you to strike at them from beyond your normal reach. As an action, you can make a weapon attack roll against a creature using the spell's range. On a hit, the spell does the weapon's normal damage, and the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures other than you until the end of your next turn. And then it's got upcasting as well. So fun stuff, and definitely ties into those melee classes as well as casters. So I like it. So look for it in the links below under Spellsword Codex and give it a click. Next we've got Temptation of the Demon Ruins. It's the 4th out of 4 of a series of adventures under this banner called Labor of the Dragon God. And it's by David Hardy, $14.95 for 104 pages. It says something strange is happening in the small fishing hamlet of Tyra, a sleepy village on the edge of a beautiful lake, with something hidden deep underneath. Something has begun to stalk the villagers at night and retreats to its unknown den during the day, and now the town's protector, a powerful archmage, has disappeared. What's more, there are whispers through the town of something happening, something new, exciting, and frightening. Omens, visions, and signs are cropping up, luring all sorts of people to this unassuming village, and something finally is about to be born. Temptation of the Demon Ruins is a full adventure campaign for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, going all the way from 15th to 20th level. This campaign is perfect for a high-level adventuring group looking to make a difference in the fabric of the cosmos. You can expect dungeon crawling, demonic incursions, devious mazes, war, a prophecy involving a member of the party, and ultimately a choice to be made revolving around the birth of a brand new entity, and the sacrifice which must be made to make that birth possible. So it's a 104-page adventure, 5 brand new magic items, 13 sidekick ready NPCs, full monster manual, 1 unique race, 2 unique feats, and of course an overview of the country of Nidr. And this is the conclusion of the adventure, which will take your characters all the way to level 20 if you want. So, and then the previous ones are here. We've covered some of those on this series before. So it's nice that it's complete, and I felt like it was completed in a reasonable time because it hasn't been years between each piece. Sometimes you see that with some of these third-party ones because life gets in the way, but this has been pretty reasonable. I feel like it's been maybe a couple months between each one, so that's very, very cool. So let's take a look inside. Oh, here's a quick preview. Here because we don't have the full preview yet, but let me refresh because it might have been added since yep, there it is. All right, sometimes when you're a publisher on this site and you add a full site preview, it's not always visible right away, so I'm glad I refreshed so we could take a look inside. So yeah, you get to see 9 of these 104 pages. You've got all the information on the village here with a cute little map. Yeah, and all the different points of interest. So let's go back up and read some flavor text. As the trees begin to clear away from the road, you suddenly notice a creature rear up off in the distance. At first you think it might be a normal creature of the plains of Faerun, an ox or sheep or something similar. However, as you continue on, you notice the bright colors and scales of the creature. It is draconic in nature, but resembles no dragon you have ever seen before. Hunched over with no wings and a long neck which it uses to graze on field grass. There is then another and another, a herd of creatures being led through a field to graze by a shepherd with a crooked staff, a dragonborn with a metallic sheen to his scales, but you're not able to tell at a glance exactly what color it is. So yeah, you're just starting immediately with this mystery of like, what are these creatures that we're not used to seeing, and they're being shepherded through this area? That's even more strange, instead of being just a normal realms creature. So I like that, very flavorful, and the artwork is cool. It's just nice to see that this whole journey has been completed by David, because it's a lot, 104 pages. I mean, each adventure has been pretty big, so to do that many for all 4 of these, it's really cool. I'll be curious, David, if you're watching, if you're going to do a bundle maybe now that you have all 4. That would be cool. Give people the opportunity to buy them all as a set. That would be fun, maybe with a little bit of a discount. But if you've purchased any of the past ones, I think you should come in here and get the new one, or even just get this one on its own. I'm pretty sure you could run this on its own. Maybe you have some 15th level characters that you want to start off the adventure with, and it's pretty flavorful. So check it out under Temptation of the Demon Runes in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Throw Rocks, Compendium of Lycanthropic Variations. It's a collection of player character wear forms in addition to those in the Monster Manual. And it's by Stephen Thurston, $5 for 28 pages. And it says it's penned by the half-orc necromancer Thorok and contains 35 additional forms of lycanthropy, from the humble werefish to the mighty were-tyrannosaurus. There's a were form for every occasion and environment, which I think is helpful. Sometimes, these were forms that we get are just not covering all the environments we need or creatures we want. So it's nice that there's now all these different choices based on this book. So you can see the list. They've got werebats, werebirds, crabs, crocodiles, primates, turtles, whales, worms, a wereworm, that would be fun. And it just talks about generally what are lycanthropes, and then it goes into the werebats. So we'll read about the werebats, but were sponges, were sharks, were seals. So many different things. Were rocks, were frogs, were insects. Just options for days in here. So you've got your stat block for the form, And then some information. It says werebats. Despite their similarities, werebats and vampires are in fact quite different from one another. Unlike vampires, werebats do not need to feed on blood and are not undead. They can be any alignment, lack any magical powers apart from their shape-shifting, and are not hindered by garlic, moving water, or other such arbitrary weaknesses. And it says, here what to do if you have a player character who's a werebat. It says player characters who contract werebat lycanthropy will have their dex score set to 16 if their natural score isn't already higher. Attack and damage rolls for the natural weapons are based on strength. So yeah, you could even have players become a wereworm or a weresponge or whatever with the way this book is put together. So I like it. And you can never have too much lycanthropy in Dungeons and Dragons, so check it out under Thorok's Compendium of Lycanthropic Variations in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Unbearable Witchcraft, an Ursunine adventure for Icewind Dale in 4 to 5 characters of 5th to 7th level by Goblin Scrawl Games, PJ Perello, and Zach Jennings. It says Oral's curse may be lifted, but something still has good mead in its icy grasp. Good mead is thriving again since Oral's curse on Icewind Dale has been lifted. Recently, however, the town's secret protector has disappeared, replaced by a monstrous man that seems dead set to destroy the small town. Can you free the townsfolk from the fearsome and icy grip of this new evil? So it's got adventure. It's got 3 frigid maps, all necessary monster stat blocks. 6 are all new, including the young white dragon. Unnumbered maps usable for your favorite VTT. And, so if you've done Rime of the Frost Maiden and you want to go back in there, this is a perfect way. Or you can just set this somewhere else. This is a little Arctic or, has some of the same setting feel to it. So you get to see 13 of the 22 pages, so over half of the book here. It's hyperlinked for the images here, so you can get to the artists, and that's cool. I always like when people do that so that they can find out more about the artists. And then you've got the adventure summary and your adventure hooks, and then a grisly find, and then here's some of the maps. That looks cool. I like the look of that map. Here's the ice cave. That looks awesome with the numbers on it, all the details, and even the Frost Maiden's temple. Yeah, and there might even be some use for some of these maps in the original Rime of the Frost Maiden too. You never know. But let's go back up and read a little bit of this flavor text. So, beneath a massive old pine tree, the freshly killed corpse of a reindeer lies steaming in the cold air. The snow around the fallen beast is stained bright red by its blood. Even from a distance, it's clear the creature is dead, with deep claw marks visible in its flanks and chunks of flesh ripped from its haunches. You suddenly hear the crunch of snow in the trees nearby, and low growling that seems to come from all around you. A low, gravelly voice speaks from somewhere out of your sight. "Little hunters," it says, "now you can learn what it is to be prey." So, quite ominous sounding little flavor text, and looks like you're going to be dealing with some winter wolves, which is fun. I mean, this is all, again, flavorful. Maybe people really loved their experience with Rime of the Frost Maiden. They're like, why can't we go back and do that again? And you're like, no, I don't want to run that again. Well, hey, here you go. Run this instead. Take them back there. Give them another chance. Maybe their characters got almost to 20, and so you said, let's just stop. I know this is for a low level, but you could probably tweak it to be harder. And it just seems like a fun time. So look for it under Unbearable Witchcraft in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Witchlight for the Combat Starved Thither. This is also part of a series. And it's, kind of going through all the different parts of the Wild Beyond the Witchlight book and giving some combat opportunities for people that want to either play it again and have more combat, or just want combat the first time through, because, again, that book was meant to be able to be resolved without combat if you want. So, and it's part of a bundle down here, so make sure you check out these bundles that it's a part of. And it says it's the second of 3 supplements to help you add combat to this admittedly low combat campaign. It adds random encounters and 3 side quests to Chapter 3. So you've got Carbuncle is the worst kind of wine snob. He has captured creatures from thither, chained them to picnic tables, and subjected them to his wine tasting class. This monster must be stopped. And then you've got what happens when a little hill giant girl takes her pet chimera out for walkies. It's going to take some work to capture this pet. And then a game of riddles as well. So, and then there's some random encounters, including a gorilla barbershop quartet and a Kuatoa marching band. Just all sorts of whimsical stuff going on. And then you've got something called the Mirror of Flattery, the Vanity Manticore, Tennis Racket of Unrelenting Volleys, the Cabinet Water's Edge, Domain of Delight called Ardalagia, and all kinds of stuff, including lucky fishing gear. So this could be blended with the other Thither book we looked at this week, the other Domains of Delight books we've looked at this week, my book, Feywild Companion, Wild Beyond the Witch. There's just so much stuff, because even though this book was specifically written for Chapter 3 of Wild Beyond the Witchlight, this is really going to work with any Feywild stuff, right? So I think there's a lot of value in this book beyond what it was written for. So it's $8 for 29 pages. Let's look inside, and you get to see the Bear Elemental stat block right away, and the Picnic Thrykean Green Encounter, Shambling Flower Mound, okay, Wicked Wood Woad, and side quests in Thither. Carbuncle the Behir Sommelier, all kinds of stuff going on. So let's just read about the Bear Elemental. It says, when the Hourglass Coven took control of Prismere, several of Zybilna's projects fell into ruin and disarray. One of those projects was the creation of a guardian bear spirit roaming the forests of Thither. Zybilna had sculpted the guardian bear out of earth and clay, hoping that the curious and friendly bear would feel at home wandering in Prismere and protecting others from harm. Things did not go according to plan. With Zybilna frozen and the Hourglass Coven ruling their divided portions of Prismere, the guardian bear was left unfinished and slowly developed into a roving monster. This encounter takes place deep in the forest. There are signs of the bear's elemental presence out to a range of 3 miles from a cave where it makes its home. There are large claw marks in the trunks of trees, large rocks smashed into pebbles, smashed and ruined beehives oozing with honey, and enormous bear prints in the grass and dirt. These signs appear more frequently as the party ventures closer and closer to the bear's cave. The bear elemental is fiercely territorial. When it discovers the party walking within a half mile of its cave, the bear will charge from out of the forest and attack. Development. The bear is confused but not unintelligent. It knows there is something wrong with its mind, something that compels it to cruelty and violence that it otherwise would not be prone to. When the bear is reduced to its bloodied hit point value, half its hit point total or less, it retreats to its cave. The bear's mind can be restored with a greater restoration spell or similar effect. If the party manages to restore the bear's mind, the bear will honor the rule of reciprocity. Once while the party is traveling in the forest of Thither, it will come to the aid of the party when a player character is reduced to 0 hit points. So, nice. Very thorough description of the lore connected to Zybilna and ways to have developments with it with a full stat block. It's CR5. So you can even reuse the stat block for other Feywild stuff, or even outside the Feywilders. You could have a bear elemental somewhere. So looks fun. Looks like a lot of good stuff in these 29 pages. So check it out under Witchlight for the Combat Star of Thither in the links below and give it a click. That's our last DM's Guild title for the week. Before we move on to DriveThruRPG, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment. I'll respond to all those comments. And follow me on Twitter at Splinterverse. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for 2022. I've been furiously writing on something so exciting. I can't wait to tell you about it. It's going to be part of our first ever Splinterverse Media Kickstarter. So we want to make sure you're following and subscribed and all that stuff so that you get information when that launches. And there's all kinds of great things in those links down below that you can click on and purchase to not only support all these great creators, but help the channel as well. Clicking and purchasing anything after you've clicked on the links does give us a small fee, but mostly we want to support these creators putting out fantastic work week after week. And if you're feeling especially generous today, we do have a bunch of books listed in the video description that are from my company, Splinterverse Media. We have our Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages of Feywild fun, including our own domain of Dualis, which involves mirrors and really plays on that notion that the Feywild is a reflection of reality. And it's got adventures, spells, subclasses, all kinds of good Feywild stuff in it. And it's on DM's Guild. And then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is over 100 pages, print on demand or digital, of potion stuff. Brand new potions, potion locations, NPCs, vendors, plants to use as ingredients, the way to make your own potions. I mean, it's just packed, and it even has a magical academy that you can use for Strixhaven style stuff. And that's in the links as well. And then we got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets with all kinds of dragon-themed stuff, dragon-themed subclasses, which, you know, a lot of people wanted in the Fizban's Treasure of Dragons and didn't get. So this book kind of does that for you, along with additional horde magic items, a familiar, adventure hooks, all kinds of good dragon stuff. And then we've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which is all about lineages, you know, this new way of handling races. It's got optional rules to help you deal with those in your campaign, how to remove them if a character gets sick of, or, you know, a player gets sick of having their character be part of that lineage, or how to string them together so you can go from one lineage to the next in a natural way. And it's got 4 brand new lineages, which are a lot of fun. And then lastly, we've got Secrets of the Draugr, which at the time of this recording, both Secrets of the Draugr and Van Richten's Librum of Lineages are on sale. And Secrets of the Draugr is a brand new race that combines the Drow and the Duergar in a brand new way, which is especially helpful now that they've changed kind of the lore of the Drow. You can kind of get a little bit away from some of that darker Drow stuff if you want and try something new, but still have a Drow flavor. So all of those are listed in the links below. Now let's move on to DriveThruRPG. Our first drive-thru title of the week is 5th edition Advanced Mode, with this fun cover here. It's from Angry Golem Games and David Trauma, and it's 17 pages for $3 for the PDF. And let's see what the description says. Limiting the power of a character and making the overall difficulty of the game harder does not reduce the creativity. Indeed, it does quite the opposite. The Game Master has the option to use any and all of the instances proposed in this guide, or just some of them according to their preference. So basically, they're going to make the game a little harder in various ways, and it's up to the DM whether the DM wants to use all of that. So you've got things like rolling the hit points hard mode, and then you've got rolling hit points moderate, and then hit points beyond level 10, racial modifiers, customization options, using ability scores, adventuring, you know, changing resting from regular to hard to moderate, combat, dealing with surprise, all kinds of stuff in here that, you know, are just tweaks that you can make to your game if you want to. And you're going to see 5 of the pages in the book. So it is by making the game harder that the characters will have to find a new, creative, and ingenious ways to solve problems and survive critical situations. Planning the exploration of a dungeon, and at the same time knowing there's a chance that they will die while traversing it, will generate much more tension and drama, as well as increasing the stakes and the conflict of the story. New and innovative ways to do the same things in different ways are discovered when the situation seems desperate and times are dire. This guide presents 2 possible degrees of difficulty, hard and moderate, so that the Dungeon Master will be able to choose which of the 2 best fit their campaign and game mastering style. So down here you've got rolling hit points the hard way. The character rolls once to determine their hit points at first level, and once anytime they advance to a new level. The Constitution modifier applies as per normal. No re-rolls are allowed. And then the rolling hit points moderate is the character has maximum hit points at first level and rolls once anytime it advances to a new level. The Constitution modifier applies as per normal and no rerolls allowed. And then it goes through the same thing with ability scores and racial modifiers here. So you're just getting to see a taste of some of the tweaks. So if you're a GM or a DM and you're interested in maybe mixing it up, maybe making it harder, maybe have players that are just making everything easy peasy, and you want to say, okay, we're going to change things up and make it a little harder on you, then this could be some options for you. So check it out under 5th edition advanced mode in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Adoptable Spider Eggs, and it's pay what you want, suggested price of $1.95, but you can obviously enter your own price if you want to pay more. And it's by Catalyst and authors Theodore Kokovidis and Christine Krikow. And it says a new family of 5th edition items that allow you to adopt your own magical spiders and raise them into trusty companions. Discover an astounding array of mystical eggs, including a legendary egg and an artifact egg. Hatch, adopt, and raise spiders of all sizes from tiny to gargantuan. Get to know each spider with its unique features and personality quirks. Pet and ride the enormous woolly spider to battle. Feel the might of the 𝙤𝙘𝙀𝙪𝙧𝙚, capable of carrying entire buildings on its back. So that's fun. Dark elves customarily gift each other spider eggs that hatch on spider moss, a significant holiday celebrated across the sunken world. Spider moss honors the great spider, the mysterious and benevolent dark elf deity, also affectionately known as Old Spider or Granny Spider. And then there's this whole history of Spider Moss Day, and you can see already some of the layouts. And, for those of you that bought my Secrets of the Draugr book, they have, that race has the ability to speak to spiders and pet spiders and things like that. So this would be perfect for that, especially since, this is kind of Drow based, but the Draugr are a combination of Drow and Duergar. So perfect for that if you already bought it. And I could just see so many uses for this. I mean, spiders are a great part of D&D. And I mean, look, you've got one that can carry a house on its back. I mean, you could definitely use that. There's a giant spider in Wild Beyond the Witchlight. There's spiders everywhere. So many options to use this. And we haven't even looked inside, but look at, just fun art always from Catalyst. So let's look inside. So you've got the cute spider egg, the smooth spider egg, the heavy spider egg, iridescent spider egg, massive fluffy spider egg, and then enormous woolly spider, 𝙤𝙘𝙀𝙀𝙀. Just fun. I think all of this is eminently usable, and I love the artwork throughout. Always with Catalyst, they have great art. So let's go down and read one of these. Let's read the cute spider egg. This fist-sized spider egg is pleasantly warm to the touch. As it gets closer to spider moss, you can hear tiny clacking noises coming out of it. After it hatches, the cute baby spider likes to cling to your clothes and only climb off to feed on crumbs of food and tiny bugs if those are not available on your person. With care and nurture, the cute baby spider grows into a spider, CR0, after 30 days. The spider is friendly to you and your companions. It will do its best to keep your equipment free from bugs. Unless trained to fight, it avoids combat and prefers to snuggle inside your backpack or in the folds of your clothes, but it will defend itself from hostile creatures. So that's fun. I mean, you're getting to see some flavorful spider goodness going on. And you've got iridescent spider egg, massive fluffy spider egg. So this one, let's read this one, is legendary. This human-sized egg is covered in a fluffy wool-like substance. As it gets closer to spider moss, you can hear rumbling sounds coming out of it, and the egg sometimes trembles when touched. After it hatches, the massive fluffy baby spider likes to follow you around and will attempt to play harmless pranks with its webs on you and your companions. It requires 16 times as much food and water as a medium-sized creature each day. With care and nurture, the massive fluffy baby spider grows into an enormous woolly spider, CR8, after 2 years. This enormous woolly spider is friendly to you and your companions. It will happily carry friendly creatures as well as equipment up to its carrying capacity. So yeah, that could be like a mule for your group. And, the DM can choose to say this all happened in the past, right? That you had this spider moss came, you took good care of it, now it's been 2 years, and you have this enormous woolly spider as part of your party, depending on what they want to do. Also, you could not have spider mouse, just come up with like how long it takes for this egg to hatch and not be tied to a holiday. There's so many ways you can play with this and bring these spiders in, and they're just cute little spider eggs. It's only $1.95. It's pay what you want. I mean, and you're getting tons of fun artwork. So I think you should give it a click under Adoptable Spider Eggs in the links below and check it out. Next we have Allies and Antagonists. It's a big book of NPCs from Grimm Press, and it's 201 pages, and it's for 5th edition. And it says it's your complete resource for breathing life into your non-player characters. No longer will your players need to converse with a simple guard or commoner. The NPCs detailed in this book give game masters unique art, lore, and game stats. You'll be sure to find something suitable to help craft memorable adventures at your table. So you've got NPCs, magic items, art, a hyperlink PDF, and 200 pages. So over 90,000 words spread across 200 pages full of NPCs. And so you can see some of the cool artwork and layout going on in here. And there's even a little video because this was once part of a Kickstarter. So let's take a look at the interior. You've got CR rating 1 with a bunch of NPCs all the way up to CR 20 with 1 at that level. So that's a mixture of CRs, which is very helpful. Not that you need to fight all of these, but it's nice to have a mixture. And yeah, so we're going to look at a few of these. Here, yeah, so you get to see 21 pages, which is a lot, you know, and you've got Dragonborn, you've got all kinds of creatures in here. So let's read about Balantu here. There are, as is well known, rituals that will turn an ordinary humanoid into one of the undead. Liches are a common feature of most folklore and make up the large majority of intelligent undead, at least as far as most commoners know. However, there are other rituals for those that lack the magical ability to transform themselves, and for those that certain powerful practitioners of magic choose to turn against their will. One of these methods has been used to create the Balantus, undead creatures that were once humanoid but choose to live the unlife of a mummy. Many of those who chose this path do so for a chance at revenge against those who have done them wrong. So that's a cool setup. So maybe, you know, you're used to having these mummies or zombies, skeletons, whatever, and they're just not intelligent unless you see a lich. Well, maybe this is going to be a different one that you can encounter because they're going to be a mummy that's a little smarter, and that's cool. It says not all evil being intelligent undead. Most of the embalmed are the same person they were in life and have the same values, virtues, or lack thereof. While most would not be considered anyone's idea of the virtuous, not all are inherently evil either, and many a party of adventurers have found themselves helped by an enigmatic cloaked figure. Some have even had one join their party as a valued member. So that's fun. Yeah, definitely you can have like an NPC that's this secretive undead. Maybe they're hiding that they don't want people to know that they're dead, but they're actually dead and considered undead, you know. So lots of fun. And that's just one. That's just one of many NPCs in here, fully detailed, full stat blocks, a variety of options for things to plug into your game. I mean, all kinds of fun names and details on who these people are, and they're fully fleshed out, and they have various challenge ratings so that you can really find anyone that's appropriate for your setting. So I encourage you to check it out under Allies and Antagonists in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Coriander. It's a zine for OSR, and this is issue, I guess, the November 2021 issue, and it's from Monkey's Paw Games and author Nora Rose, 24 pages. It says, following the crypto collapse of EC2397, bioengineering giant Binary Helix was acquired by
𝙒𝙤𝙢𝙪𝙧𝙀 Pharmaceuticals, which was in turn broken up, repackaged, and sold largely to 𝘼𝙬𝙀 Securities after a short but exceedingly violent corporate takeover that resulted in an extinction-level event on the planet Oxnard. In the passion and death of these industrial struggles, Binary Helix's flagship research facility was lost to a gravity well for a myriad. Lost until a deep salvage team reported a strange transmission containing an eons-old sales pitch. So it's number 6 in a series of short hex and dungeon crawls for pink hack, but easily adaptable to other OSR. Each Doom crawl is inspired by iconic special herbs beat tracks from MF Doom. So I think we've looked at one of these previously, and yeah, you can listen to the tracks that inspired it if you want. So it's got a 20-room sci-fi corporate horror dungeon crawl, rumors table, hazards, events tables, and then 24 pages with 9 additional tables full of adventure. So let's look inside. So you can see kind of the fun little map for the main level with all the points of interest, and then the upper level, and then information on Biodome, Ipotu, and hazards down here. So let's look at some of the hazards. Has been abandoned, so when you enter a new area, you want to generate some additional hazards. It says the room is recently inhabited. Tracks in the dust lead to an adjacent room. Some food and supplies have been left behind, obviously in expectation of return. That's just one thing on the rooms list. And then you've got alert, life support systems failure, breathing is difficult, and exposed skin begins to alternately freeze and boil. Okay, so very careful in that room. And let's see, is there more down here? Yeah, there's a whole events table. You got fleshy, toothy mouth opens and the bulkhead howling discordantly, get me out of here. It vanishes after a round. So just all kinds of creepy stuff going on in this biodome that is, left over from these struggles between these corporations. So it sounds really fun and futuristic. So check it out under Coriander in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Delver. It's issue number 3. It's an OSR zine, and it's from the Tabletop Engineer with author James Floyd Kelly. 52 pages, $10 for the PDF. It's a bi-monthly 6 issues per year resource for GMs of old school RPGs. And this issue contains random charts and tables like Thief's Night Out, More Extraordinary Powers, An Unusual Shield, Nemesis Thief, Griffin Claw Auction House, and a bunch more, as well as an adventure called We Don't Go There, which is 18 pages. And let's take a look inside. So here's the Thief's Nights Out. So they have a mark, ease of the job, hire help, the prize, and the next day. So you basically roll on all these tables and it creates a Thief's Nights Out. So the mark includes things like Wizard's Tower, Merchant's Closed Shop, City's official office. So that's what you would be, conducting your thievery in. And then if it says hire help, inexperienced, or someone who shows promise, etc., and then ease of the job, easy, good information, right tools for the job, etc., and the prize value, and then the next day a whole table on what happens. Number 1 is you got away with it, best of all, no witnesses and no crime reported. But number 12, someone spotted you, better hide or disappear for a while. So some options. And then extraordinary powers, unusual shields, Nemesis Thief, lots of fun tables in here, it looks like. So if you like tables, like rolling for things, this looks like it could be a lot of fun. Especially if you're playing OSR. Some of these tables probably can be used outside of OSR as well. I think generally that one we read on Thieves could be. You might have to adjust some of the values of things, but if you're just kind of saying, this is what happened last night, you did some thievery while the party was resting, and you rolled on these tables, and this is the results. That could work in 5th edition as well. So I think you should click the link for Delver in the video description links and, explore these tables. Maybe roll on a few of them in the preview, see what you think, and consider purchasing it. Next, we have Dungeon Vault Magazine number 17. Lots of magazines this week, which is nice. And it's by Elvin Tower and James DeWar, PJ England, Todd Kleinpaste, and Lisa Swartz. It's $3.95 for the PDF, and it's 42 pages. It's issue 17, and it's basically a compilation of adventures. It says these short modules do not stick to a unified template of sections. Instead, they are organically created and follow their own pace. The types of modules you can expect are city-town settings, regional settings, dungeons, outdoor locations, etc. And it says most of the adventures are appropriate for low to mid-level, levels 1 to 10, and each adventure includes like an estimation of what the party level is, but always beautiful art with Elven Tower stuff. So you've got all this goodness that's awaiting you inside. Just looking at all this layout looks fun. So here you've got all the different adventures, something called the Scarlet Sepulchre, Pigs in the City, A Tale of Three Blades, etc. And then here's one of the adventures called Skin is for the Weak, and some of the characters, and then something called Anvil of Fire. That looks fun. I like this map with this fiery stuff in the center. So let's read a little bit of the flavor text here. And this one is the background lore. So this is the great weapons of yore, featured in fables and myths, are rumored to have the power to bring titans and dragons down. The heroes in the stories wield legendary blades with otherworldly power. These weapons are extremely rare now. They were destroyed, hidden away, or retrieved by gods or demigods, but there's one place where such a weapon can be forged, the Anvil of Fire. So that's the setting. And here's some of the flavor text for the antechamber. The dungeon's antechamber is sparsely furnished with an intricate rug of rough fabric. Red light grows from under the eastbound door frame. And then the second room, the room of medallions, 6 granite plinths feature gold medallions inscribed with all kinds of runes. Unmarked medallions and carving tools rest on the stone shelf. So you can see you're going to make your way eventually to this place where the Anvil of Fire is, right? And that looks pretty fun, and looks like there might be some lava flow or something to deal with as you go through. And that's just one of the adventures. So, having a book like this for $3.95, where it's got a bunch of little one-shots, little side quests, is helpful, because you never know when you're going to need one, and you can just quickly pull up one of these and go through it and fill in for a session. And yeah, I think it looks like a good time. So check it out under Dungeon Vault Magazine 17 in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Chaos Cultists, Fantasy Token Set 45 by Greg Bruni, and it's of course a system neutral, but you can see the fun little artwork here with the 20 different characters depicting priests, priestesses, henchmen, and crazed villagers who follow vile chaos gods. And it just looks like really well thought out, really well designed. There's always needs for cultists. Again, I like the top-down token approach, because it just looks really immersive with top-down maps, and I think there's just quite a variety in here that you're getting. So if you need some cultists, you don't often see tokens for cultists and things either as well, so it's another reason why I wanted to include this one. So yeah, I think you should consider it, especially if you play a lot of VTT. It's under Fantasy Token Set 45 in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Hand of Nakrash, which is part of the Demon Cults and Secret Societies series from Kobold Press, with a beautiful cover, of course, and authors Jeff Lee, Mike Wellum, and John Sawatsky. It's 19 pages for $4.99. It says 40-fingered Nakrash has a hand in every pocket. Nakrash is the simian demon god of wizards and thieves. His 8 hands grasp all there is to take and hold tight. It is said he reserves his lowest left hand for the boldest and most daring of his thefts, and is called a pentarchical assemblage of the region's most infamous scoundrels, and their followers revere their god by emulating this behavior. These 5 crime lords plot the most spectacular thefts in order to appease their deity and outdo the other members of their organization. So you've got cult leaders, organization, and goals with full stats for the 5 great rival leaders, cult plans and adventure hooks for levels 1 to 12, specific and general cultists with stats including Tengu Bravos and Roachling Lieutenants, magic items such as the Monkey's Paw of Fortune, a cult vehicle that is to be seen to be believed, the Clockwork Siege Crab, And then, just tons of stuff. And I like that this is a demon god for wizards and thieves. So it's kind of got dual purpose. And as usual, it's beautifully illustrated from Kobold Press. So you get to see 4 of those pages in here. And yeah, I mean, look at this fun artwork. That's just so great from Master Caprock. You've got all these rival leaders going up against each other, so that could be fun. So this is the undisputed leaders of the lower left hand of Necrosh are the 5 exalted, the 5 most devoted and larcenous members of the cult. 5 fingers of the hand, as it were, each remains in position of power until he is unable to properly bestow adoration upon the name of Necrosh. For the cult, adoration means theft. The bigger and more daring the heist, the greater the respect and admiration gained by the perpetrator and in turn bestowed upon Necrosh. One of the 5 is chosen every year to be the high exalted, highest of the 5, and the one who directs the cult and its activities. So yeah, you just have this natural conflict because they're probably fighting to be the high exalted, and so you've got the inner conflict, you've got the conflict that the cult is creating with others, and I just think it's fun. The artwork's great. You've got all these stat blocks. I mean, this one alone is challenge 11. So these can be villains you face, or they can be patrons for your party. If you want to have a thieving party. Just so much fun as usual from Kobold Press. So check it out under Hand of Necrosh in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Lights of Winter by Lindsay Bonnet, and it's pay what you want. Suggested price of $2 for the PDF. 5th edition, 20 pages. And let's see what it says. It says, driven mad by the darkness of winter, the prioress of the Red Abbey begins her work. After months of research and work in her lab, she found a way to summon beings of light to push back the darkness. If she could control their destructive natures, the characters find themselves investigating odd deaths, chasing weird weather phenomena, and trying to help locals harmed by these creatures of light. So it's an adventure kit. Within you find a set of antagonists and situations along with suggested encounters and location, but it doesn't string it all together in a traditional linear adventure. Instead, it presents options for game masters to build the adventure to their preference and party. The most explicit portion of the adventure is the final dungeon, though it is still modifiable to meet the game's needs. So you got 2 full locations with NPCs and encounters, tips and clues to build the mystery, dungeon map and description, 6 new light elemental antagonists. So it's cool. It's kind of like it's one of those build your own things. You get like a model kit and you have to build it. But that's nice. It seems like it has a lot of stuff in it to do that with. You've got all these locations, including some maps and even flavor text for all the points of interest and secrets and clues. So definitely enough to have for a crafty DM to sort of fill in the blanks and string it together as desired. And I like the artwork. So let's read a little bit about the Red Abbey, which we will have to do this kind of funky scrolling because they still have to fix that on DriveThru. The Red Abbey of St. Oxytus was constructed 50 years ago, previously to replace an abbey that was destroyed in a landslide. The ruins of the old abbey, St. Oxytus House, lay partially buried within the current abbey's grounds. Several wealthy patrons paid to help rebuild the abbey, and their generosity was reflected in the solid building and shining furnishings. The order is one focused on assistance to the poor and maintenance of archives. The members of the order provide food, assist with funding work, and provide lodging for the surrounding areas. Archives and vaults inside the abbey hold many important records and books that the members document and provide copies of as needed. Very cool. Yeah. That looks like a fun little background story. You've got a whole thing on the prioress's plan here, stepping stones to success, just lots and lots of information, adventure hooks, weather situations. So yeah, you could piece this together and make a really fun adventure, or even just take parts of it and you can just put that abbey as a background location in one of your other adventures. And it's only $2 on Pay What You Want. So check it out under Light of Winter in the links below and give it a click. Next we have The Pale Theologian Lord of Life and Death by M Studio or Studio M, and it's for first edition Pathfinder by 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙠𝙨, and it's 38 pages, $5 for the PDF. It says channel the forces of pale life and death together as one. It's the latest class published by Studio M. The Pale Theologian draws its power from the Pale, the source of both life and death. These spellcasters draw this energy into their own body, granting them aspects of both living and undead creatures, and allowing them to utilize the effects of both positive and negative energy through necromancy. These full casters combine both arcane and divine necromancy spells, as well as gaining the ability to cast numerous spells as necromantic variants. Able to specialize as either arcane or divine spellcasters, these theurges draw from both wizard and cleric spell lists. However, the specialization in necromantic magics limits their other schools significantly. Utilizing their secrets of the Pale Theologian can customize their magical talents to suit their needs, improving their ability to create undead, fortifying their bodies with necromancy, fortifying the strength of their soul, and empowering their healing. So it's got archetypes for Akashic Magic, Psionics, Path of War, Spheres of Power, and Champions of the Sphere. So there's a lot of like things like Spheres of Power and stuff out there. So this has thankfully been designed to work with all of those. So let's look inside. You've got the class features and then archetypes, Akashic archetypes and Psionic archetypes, etc. Magic items, spells, and magic. And here's like introduction to the class, spellcasting, spellbook, and information on spontaneous casting, etc. So let me zoom in, but unfortunately to do that I have to scroll all the way back up. And down here to spontaneous casting. Pale theologians can convert their magical power directly into necromantic power, allowing them to cast a number of spells spontaneously using their spell slots. Whenever the pale theologian rests and regains their spell slots, they can choose to either harness the power of healing magics or harming magics. Until the next time they regain their spell slots, they can spontaneously cast a number of spells based on their choice. If these spells require an expensive material component, the pale theologian is required to provide it as normal. If they chose healing magics, they can spend in any of their spell slots to cast one of the following spells of equal to or lower level than the spent spell slot. All cure spells, lesser restoration, regular restoration, remove disease, neutralize poison, remove curse, greater restoration, heal, mass heal. If they choose harming magics, then basically the same thing happens, but with a different list of spells, including contagion, greater contagion, poison, etc. So fun times. I like that it's a blend of the light and the dark and the life and the death and all that stuff, and then it also connects to all those popular variants that are out there now, like Spheres of Magic, or Spheres of Power. So check it out under Pale Theologian in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Sunken Cemetery from Adventure Bundles. It's for level 6. It's got a little bit of exploration, a lot of combat, and a medium amount of roleplay. And it's for 5th edition, 22 pages, and $3.99 for the PDF. It says 2 weeks ago, as workers were digging a new section for the sewer, they broke a wall that led them to a big underground cave. The floor of this cave was filled with graves, which made the officials believe they found something of archaeological value, perhaps remnants of the old 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙬 or a civilization which lived here before the city even existed. As the workers were exploring these graves, they awoke something ancient. Skeletal barbarians, shamans, and wizards rose from their rest and attacked, killing all but one worker who escaped to tell the tale. So that's a cool little setup. It's got sewer map, printable PDF, 4 homebrew items, printable item cards, and a handout. And let's look inside. So you got your 22 pages with this very wizard style layout, which is helpful. Makes it easy to read. And look at this fun sewer map that you get that you can use. You always use a sewer map, right? So that's cool. And just lots of flavor text, monsters. Getting to see the whole book in the free preview, which is nice. You've got all these magic items and even this little handout, which is like some torn paper. So let's read some of the flavor text at the beginning here. Yeah, right here, a dirty job. says the party has made their way to the City Watch building in 𝘼𝙬, either by responding to a notice board job offer or any other way that suits your campaign. And then you read this. The square room contains a large wooden desk on the opposite end that sits right in front of an arched window which overlooks the city. Yellow and green tapestries with the 𝘼𝙬 insignia, a harbored ship, are placed between bookshelves on the walls, and a thick brown carpet covers the floor. A woman sits behind the desk, long red hair, smooth skin, and noble clothes. Her full plate armor rests on an armor rack to her right, and her desk is covered in paperwork. On one of the guest chairs in the room sits a male halfling. Sideburns and dark brown hair nearly cover his entire head and face. He wears commoner clothes and is silent as you enter. The man leading you introduces you to Natalia, the woman behind the desk, and explains the reason you are here. She stands up to greet you and closes the door as the city watch guard leaves. So then she explains a number of things, and you are on your way having to deal with this crazy sewer plague and all this sewer stuff with all these fun magic items and points of interest, and then some unmarked areas that you can add your own little stuff as well. So I think it's a lot of fun, and like I said, you can always use a sewer map later on. maybe somebody escapes into a sewer in a chase, right? And then now you have a map to have the party hunt for them. So lots of replay value when you get cool maps like that. So check it out under Sunken Cemetery in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Universal Decay Dead Stars Rulebook revised by J. Taylor Burrell, and it's for OSR or not OSR, but D20 or 3.5 or Pathfinder 1, all of that stuff as far as general rules. But this is a rule book itself, so it's taking kind of that structure and building on it. So you could probably play with just this book, and its author is, of course, J. Tyler Burrell. And how many pages? 362. So quite a lot of pages for $5. That's a lot of pages for $5, seriously. It says, Dead Stars is a science fiction horror role-playing game powered by the alternate D20 Universal Decay rules system. Pick a race from the ever-familiar humans to the amorphous Grabrosh or sleazy Hilazara. Strap on some personal armor and pick up a silver rifle, or get a cerebral computer implant and grab your toolkit, or both. Then get together with your friends and face a universe of dangers, wonders, and opportunities. So it says it's based on the old school D&D 3rd edition D20 system, easy to learn and familiar to most old school gamers, yet able to be tweaked to be as complex as you want. So let's look inside, and it's got that kind of cyber feel to it, which is cool. So you get to see 11 of those 300 and some pages. So all kinds of information, buying class levels, XP and leveling. So it's really, going to deep dive into character creation and all of the information you need to play the game. So it says types of characters. In order to help players and game masters with characters, I'm including here a brief overview of the most common types of characters in the Dead Stars universe. This list is by no means comprehensive, and the character archetypes listed here are often mixed together. It is rare for somebody to play a pure member of any of these types. So there's the 31337. The name of this character type is Leet Speak for Elite, which should be a major clue as to what they do. This is a character that's focused on computers and electronic mischief, a hacker without peer. They often have a lot of craft skills, mostly oriented towards computers and electronics. And then it's got the recommended races, etc. And then you've got the brick or tank, somebody who is big, strong, and built like a tank. They are mainly used as mobile walls and self-powered battering rams. Most are either cybernetically or genetically enhanced or use powered armor. The tank version focuses more on dealing damage as well as resisting it. So it's nice that they're laying out, you've got soldier, medic, engine, wizard, savage, gun bunny, all kinds of something called the face. I mean, just different types of playing, character styles that you can play basically, and that's fun, and just tons of information in here, and I think the cover art's a lot of fun. So look for it under Universal Decay in the links below and give it a click. Next we've got Warlock, Earn Your Crust. And I know a lot of people that watch this series really enjoy the Warlock books. So you can get this one as $6.77 for digital or $21.66 for the PDF and the book, and it's hardcover black and white. And it's from Fire Ruby Designs with Imad Otala and Greg Saunders as authors. And this is a supplement for Warlock, the old school role-playing game inspired by early British tabletop gaming. Earn Your Crest is a compendium of careers from across the length and breadth of the kingdom. Jesters, plague doctors, champions, and conjurers all can be found within these pages. There's 36 new basic careers, 5 advanced careers, and 4 master careers, as well as new options to speed character creations. So yeah, lots of stuff to be had for Warlock. As you can see here, they've got the careers, everything from antiquarian down to woodsman. And then you've got some things like champion advanced, cartographer advanced, etc. And then new hirelings. So if you're already playing Warlock, this is going to give you lots of new stuff to use. And if you're not playing Warlock, this could be a fun introduction, although I would recommend getting some of the other Warlock books to go with it. Yeah, so you've got the careers, basic and advanced careers. Down here, you've got your subtable, all the different ones. So let's read about the antiquarian. It says, you've always had a burning desire to learn, discover, see things. History, ancient civilizations, long forgotten languages. You don't want to just read about it, you want to see it firsthand. Gold and jewels are of no interest beyond their use to fund the next expedition. Show me the amazing beasts, ancient scrolls, and rare artifacts. That's what you're here for. And then it says, what have you found? An ancient coin from a lost kingdom, a fossilized skull of some strange beast, a stone tablet covered in runes. I must read it. All kinds of stuff. So, and then ask what you've seen. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I like this. I think it's always good art and layout with these Warlock books, and it's nice that seems to be some regular Warlock content coming out for people playing that. And I'm sure there's pieces you can adapt to other settings as well. I mean, some of the careers sound like they could fit easily in 5th edition as well. So check it out in the links below under Warlock, Earn Your Crest, and give it a click. Well, that's our last title for the week. Please subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter at Splinterverse. Again, we're going to have a Kickstarter in 2022 that's going to blow your mind, so I want to make sure you're up to date and you know when that's happening. And also, please like the video, leave a comment, share the video out there with your friends, help them find out about all these great titles and what's going on. I mean, there's so many great creators to support and follow, and this series is a good way to find them even after these titles leave the front page. If you click any of these links and support these wonderful creators, you're also supporting the channel, because we do get a tiny little bit from the affiliate program when you purchase. And if you want to contribute more, we do have a list of Splinterverse Media books in the video description as well. 5 different books we released in 2021, so you can check those out. We've got Dragons with our Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets. We've got Lineages with our Van Richten's Library of Lineages, which is on sale right now. Our Secrets of the Draugr also on sale right now as of this recording. Has a brand new race. And then we've got our Feywild Companion, everything you could want with Feywild. And then Potions Unlocked, everything you could want for potions. And the short stories for each potion in there, they kind of form a little cinematic universe. If you read them all, there's some connections between them, and those might become important later with future Splinterverse products. So I hope you check it out. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you all the creators for the great work you're doing. I support you. I look forward to your future work, and I'm excited to see what 2022 brings from you. So keep it up, and until next time, happy adventuring.